It's good to see everybody. We've got Paul Silovsky here ready to deliver in fantastic superhero CEO style, in his laid back superhero CEO style. I love it. Paul makes everything seem like it's just like nothing is, the sky's never falling. It's with Diane either, if you've caught any of the lemonades with Diane, but this is the juice and it's some nutrition for your practice. So you guys don't run an anemic B12 deficient practice. I'm Italian. I have to compare everything to food. What can I say? All right, we've got some interesting things. I see some new names here. If you are, oh, Stacy Brandt. Hi, Dollface. I'm just so happy when some people are here. Um, we're gonna see you soon. We are so guys, let me just back this up. So if you're new, if you're old, you're gonna hear this for like the 150th time. But basically, um, the juice and the lemonade webinars, which we've been doing, the lemonade for 4 years. The juice is going on probably, I don't know what, Paul, a year and a half, year. You can thank Paul for his
Yep.
generous time. Paul gets no financial remuneration. I'll just drop anything. For he just is paying it forward. He is a long-term client of the sponsors, which is Survival Strategies. They're a training and consulting company that's been training and consulting private practice for 35, going on 36 years. Paul is a long-term client. Every once in a while, we even throw together custom programs. Paul brings his staff to our conferences. Like Paul's got that great, and I encourage all of you to have this mindset that no matter where you are as an owner, you can always learn something. And I just spoke to a lady who has 17 locations the other day, and I said, "How can I help you?" She said, "Honey, let me tell you something. When the minute you think you can't learn something, you're dead in the water." And I can't agree with that more. So for those of you that are SSI clients, we are holding an SSI conference, an SSI client only, February 24, 25. Stacy Brandt's gonna be in the house, and coming all the way from Nebraska. So we have that. That's going to be a deep, more advanced thing. A lot of these people have done a couple of programs and they've come to a bunch of our conferences. They've been around a while. If you're not an SSI client, you want to know what the next thing is. The next thing is the Palooza event in May 4 and 5. There's a priority list. Gwen, my right hand gal for today, she's my right hand person all the time, but mostly behind the scenes, and Carrie's in the front of the scenes, but Carrie's off today. She's going to post that link. Guys, there is nothing, if you serve the adult field, there is no reason you cannot attend the PEDS events. I'm going to tell you, you are missing out. You're shooting yourselves in the foot, and I'll tell you why. Um, Samantha, I'll answer your question in a hot second. So, they're only branded for peds. Okay, you might have to hear a word like they use billable hours, and most adult PTs use the word visits. But aside from the branding, it is admin know-how. It works if you're a dentist. It works if you're a CPA. It works if you are a doctor. It works no matter what you are. It is private practice specific, and you'll just be around some really groovy, uptone, cheerful peds people, and because our events are super fun. If enough of the adult community start coming to these, guess what? You'll have your own events. So that's what I'm encouraging you to do. So if you are serving the adult community, please invite people to the Private Practice Network Facebook group. Please. Okay, so there's that. So that's May 4 and 5. Guys, no matter if you serve peds or adults, you got a hiring and retention problem, and you probably have soft skill deficits like in the area of communication. We are handling all of that May 4 and 5. We've got expert speakers. You are going to want to attend this. The priority list, Gwen probably posted. Get to it right there. Okay, Samantha Fitz, to answer your question, someone in the lemonade, and I love that you just bopped over like I did. People are like getting information to help their practices stabilize and grow. I love it. I love that you carved out the time for that. Samantha, The management program is a program that 99.9% of all practice owners need. Paul has done it. He may have reviewed it several dozen times because we offer refreshers on it. So you can continually train up your staff. It is the gift that keeps on giving. And it's basically a management program. It's a system on how to run your practice. And boy, is it a game changer. People can speak on it. Paul will speak on it in a hot second. But I will tell you this, it all starts, we talk to people. Reason we have Paul for over 2 decades is we build relationships. That's our big differential item in the universe is we talk to you, whether we sell you something or don't, whether something is right for you to move to the next level or it's not, we don't care. We want to talk to you, build a relationship with you, and hopefully you'll go, wow, I'm really having an issue in this area. Who can I talk to? And then we have you talk to somebody and we have help you handle these like Titanic hitting an iceberg kind of problems. You all know what happened to the Titanic when they hit an iceberg. It was a little too late and that was a big disaster, right? Well, your practices kind of run sometimes like a Titanic, looks all beautiful and polished brass on the top, fancy chandeliers, and you've hit an iceberg at the bottom. That is muy peligrosa. That means very dangerous. So there's that. So the other thing I wanted to mention, and this might be a really good thing for you, this might answer your question further, is that we're offering something that we announced on the foundation. And the CEO, Craig Ferreira, who is an amazing human being, he is allowing us to still have Ben, who's got 35 years experience in private practice, go over a deep dive looking at your stats. You can ask him, you should sign up for that. Gwen probably put that link in here too. You sign up for that, and then we talk to you about what's the appropriate level for you. The management program is a big system. It takes a year. It takes a year to get through, and it's really robust. However, let me just clarify one thing I've been dying to tell everybody. People, you guys are so highly educated and you've had so much schooling that it's like if I said to you right now while you're like struggling or growing or overwhelmed with your practice, hey, why don't you go get your PhD? That would be like you're treading water and you're holding up a sofa and you're treading water. And then your PhD program is basically like, we're going to put a washer and dryer on the sofa while you tread water in the pool, right? The programs do not work like that. They're the opposite. You get on, there's a ramp up phase, and then we like take the washer and dryer off of you. We take the sofa off of you. Then you're treading water and a floaty comes by, and then you get your pina colada, and then you're done with the program. And by then, everything is ramped up, organized. You've taken so much off of your plate as a CEO. Your people are starting to get trained. There's organization, there's an organizing board, people, there's flow lines, and you know where you are and you know where you want to be and you know where there's divergences from that. And that's what you want to do. And there's a big one and there's a little one and there's even a baby one. So, management program. So just get your name in there, let somebody talk to you, and you'll find out what is right for you. Okay, so that's all that. Now over to Paul, because we're going to talk private practice and we're going to talk about the product in productivity. And I love this because productivity, ooh, that could be a dirty word in private practice with your staff sometimes. And not in Paul's world. Paul only hires people where they view and accept that productivity means more patients helped, more community served, more caregivers relieved. And that's what Paul cares about, because that's why Paul gets up in the morning. And that's why 99.9% of you owners get up. Nobody gets up and is like, ooh, 9 more patients and I'm getting a beach house. Okay. Nobody. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to the fantastic and very lively background. I'm sure, is that some sport thing that I don't? Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
That's the Kansas City Chiefs. Are you kidding me? This is the Super Bowl
Yeah,
week.
you can. Am I kidding you? I'm like, oh, is that a basketball team? Whatever. I
I had
just,
to change it. No.
I love it. I love it. All right, over to you, Paul.
Yeah, this is our talk about production. This is our 4th year out of the last 5 being in the Super Bowl for the Chiefs. So And I'm going to be
Ooh.
there on Sunday, by the way. So Rox and I are
Oh,
going.
excuse you. Excuse you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm heading to Vegas on Friday. So
Oh, exciting. That's exciting.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So cool. Well, hey, thanks for the introduction. And yes, actually, it's so apropos that the question came up from Samantha about the management program because I'm covering information that I learned from that program today, and I'm not necessarily going to refine, too much of what. I mean, this is just one aspect of management, and I also find it appropriate that Nancy mentioned the Titanic because I've actually had this conversation with a couple of owners, and not to be a smartass, which I can actually be from time to time, but I do find I've talked to several practice owners that all they're doing is rearranging the chairs on the Titanic. And you've heard that analogy before. It's like some people are very busy, just you know, it's the things going down, and they're worried about rearranging the chairs instead of
You're switching
fixing.
seats on the Titanic. It's like you think you're saving yourself by sitting over here, but at the end, there's also another good Titanic thing is you're polishing the brass on the Titanic. It's like it's going down, but you're just like, I'm gonna make it pretty. Nothing to see here, people. Nothing to see here. There's quite a few when we really get behind the scenes with owners. There's a lot of changing seats on the Titanic. And that, just so you know, guys, I think it's interesting that comes actually out of 12-step programs, which I'm a big fan of because they can save lives. I don't know if it's the be all stop, but man, if you've got a problem or an addictive situation out of control, it does help. My stepson is like 9 years sober with that program. But they have a saying on there, and that is changing seats on the Titanic. And that's like when you like go, you switch addictions. You go from like, oh, I'm drinking 8 gallons of vodka, and now or whiskey. I'm going to switch to vodka because vodka's a cleaner alcohol. So they've got these really groovy sayings in there, and then polishing the brass on the Titanic. You don't be an owner who does either of those. Okay, good. So we're on the same page as usual, Paul, with our and I could be snarky too. So between the two of us being smart, you know what? This could be an interesting webisode here.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'm just going to cover this one subject of really getting products well defined. And well, we'll give a few examples. I'd love, by the way, just a heads up. At one point, I would love to get your guys' feedback on because there's no wrong answers to what I'm going to go over. You definitely have to define what your products are. We may have some people on here that have done some management training or have intuitively really have well defined products for the various areas of their company, but it really is a vital management tool because I manage backwards most of the time, all the way from a meeting. When I go into a meeting, I certainly have a product in mind, and I'm going to give you a definition here in a moment that I operate off of. That comes from the hybrid management technology that I've been trained in, but it's just one definition, but it is a management definition. So managing backwards from products really will save you a lot of times. People ask me, well, how do you do? Get everything done, or how do you do what you do? And I do a lot of different things because I wear a lot of different hats. Being the CEO of Rebound is one of them, but I live outside of Topeka. I live in Nashville, as a lot of you guys know. My clinics are here. I'm actually in Kansas this week, but this is one of the major things that I've had to learn how to do is just zero in on exactly what I'm going for as a result with everything that I do. And it really is a great way to manage your company and your life. So I'm going to share some slides with you just to keep me on task here. From the beginning. This is actually a short deck, so it was a good time for Nancy to fill some time, but we'll have time to discuss this at the end. Okay, good. So love the title. We came up with that working together with Nancy and Gwendolyn putting the product in productivity. So here's this management definition that I was talking about. And this may be a review for some of you guys. So definition of a product, and this is important, and you're going to see why in a second. A finished high quality service or article in the hands of the person or group it serves as an exchange for an valuable. So it actually has three things in it here. So I'm going to break these down real quickly in the form of an action definition, because this is definitely an actionable thing. Getting a product is high activity, or an action driven activity. So here's three things that I see inside of that definition that make it really simple for me to break down whether something actually is or is not a product for you or your company. Okay. So he says that it's finished, right? I say, or he says completed. I say finished. Was it completed? Was it finished? Is it a done? Okay. And you're going to have to be able to verify that as an executive. But was it actually done? I don't know if you guys have ever run into this, but sometimes things get reported as being done and they're not actually done. They're not actually completed. And I think we could all come up with examples. If you have kids, they can tell you they did something, and you go look and you say, "Oh gosh, it wasn't completed." Yeah, you did something, but you didn't get it done, right? Well, it's the same way in running your company. So was an area of your company, let's say, a marketing, getting some marketing out. Maybe part of it got out, or I don't know if you ever found this, but maybe you had a list of people you wanted to send a promotional item to, and it didn't didn't go out all the names on the list. There was some glitch in the matrix, so it really wasn't a completed. It wasn't a full product in that sense. Is it valuable? So he says it's completed and it's valuable. And so it can be valuable inside of your organization. And of course, what we exchange with the public outside of the organization, we want to be very valuable. That value that when I'm not only talking, by the way, about that value that's determined by the insurance companies or someone else from the hither and beyond, or someone else establishes value, but what value is it to the public? And then one that often gets missed is when someone has a post in the company. Let's say someone working in the area of billing, collections, or finance in your financial area. How are they exchanging? How are they working back and forth? What value do they bring to other folks on your team? Not just the public at large, not just the public you service, but to each other inside the organization. So that's what makes it exchangeable. Is it exchangeable both inside the company? I have to create value and exchange products with my fellow executives. I come back here this week and I meet with all my guys one-on-one, and we'll have a strategic planning meeting tomorrow, late tomorrow morning. And we're going to look at what we got done, right? What got done this last month, and what was its value? What was its measurable value? And do we exchange with each other? I certainly have to exchange with my executives every week, even though I'm not physically in the building. So I have to work really hard, working from a distance, for example, to exchange with my vice president of administration, my vice president of operations, my VP PR marketing, and then my financial controls officer or CFO. I guess people use that term as well, because those are my four main people that I work with. So I have to do this with them, continuously throughout the week, and not only get production done, but make sure products are achieved. So that's a simple way to look at a product. When you lay out what a valuable end result would be with a patient interaction, whether that's for one visit or for a whole episode of care in your company, you need to be able to validate these things. Was it completed? Was it valuable to the customer, valuable to the company, and exchangeable both ways? Did they exchange with you? It's not completed in my world until, for example, in the area of finance, till they have a zero balance account. That would be completed for finance. And then obviously the treatment needs to be complete. So you have to take a look. Can you measure that product, whatever it is? And we're going to break some products down here in a second. Can you measure it? Which is the reason we use statistics. And you learn, if you're going to work with, if you guys work, and the ones that already have worked with survival strategies, you all know that it starts with an analysis and looking at what the current level of production is or the products are, but they have to be measurable in the form of statistics. And then can you actually see it? Well, a statistic is not the thing, right? This is a really important thing to bring up with your staff, by the way. This is an extra, because it's not part of putting the product into productivity, because you got to measure products, but the statistic is not the thing. You have to be able to go look and see what people are producing. You need to look at a bank account, look at a bank account. Don't look at a number that someone reports to you. Look at what was actually deposited. Jolene is the only evidence of truth. Our financial control officer, I do not rely on a statistic that is reported by anybody but her in the area of finance, because she verifies it against the bank. Just because someone reports what they think they collected at the front desk, I make sure it's in the bank. So can you see it and or verify it? So you have to be able to look at products. Nancy mentioned this, something about our staff. Is the number one thing I look at, other than just someone being a good fit, as far as their overall demeanor and presentation, and are they a good emotional fit for our company, if you will, that subjective side of things. But I'm going to look at people's production record. Can they prove to me that they can get products or have gotten products in the past in any area? It could be a brand new, it could be a new grad that hasn't had a job before, but I want to know on other jobs what they've been responsible for producing, and can they verify it? Can they show me? But the product or the production is super important. So what are some of the products by area or division of the company? I'll probably share with you guys. Nancy mentioned in management, you have an organizing board, or people call it some people call it an organizing chart. A chart of where folks lie in your company and what their position or post is. But I'll show you something by functions. But our organizing board is driven by products. So I'm just going to summarize here. So yeah, the owner or the CEO or the executive director, synonymous terms. They have a clearly defined product. I'm interested to get feedback from you guys, and then I'll show you some that I use that get measured every week, right? And a lot of these, some of these are every day. But in your human resource or area of personnel, there's measurables there, right? It's the not only the number of staff you have, but how effective, how trained and effective are they in the area of marketing. Obviously, you're looking not at just the amount of outflow, but what was the result of that outflow? Did we get the service or product in the hands of the public? It isn't just the marketing piece, but did it get people to arrive and start service, right? In the area of finance, obviously the funds collected and all the bills paid. I'll be interested in what you guys have outlined for your front desk or patient services. We call them PSRs here, patient services reps, but whatever you designate your customer service or front desk staff as being. And then where the majority of all of our clinics, the majority of our staff lie in the area of professional delivery. But what are the measurables there? What's their product? The quality assurance, because it has to be verified and valuable and exchangeable. So someone's got to check and make sure it meets the standard. And then the last area of our company in the area of public relations, or the success of our patients, where your success stories come in, or your patient successes, as well as the goodwill and the between the referral relations and the community relations. We have measurables every week that show how well we're doing in these areas. So I'm interested here. I'm gonna stop the share before for a moment. Nancy, we haven't done this a whole lot, but I would love to see what people view, because like I said before, there's no wrong answers on this. I'd love in any area I could go through the areas. Maybe we should just do owners and CEOs. Like, what are the measurables? What are the products that people have their attention on? Because like I said, there's not necessarily a wrong answer here, but there is a way to refine the thinking and the measurables. So if guys want to either speak up or put in the chat what would be a valid, someone just give me an example in the chat. What would be a valid product, something that's completed, valuable, and exchangeable for the company from the CEO or from the executive director or owner of the company. You want to type in something there that they feel like, okay, hey, this is my responsibility to produce week in, week out, month in, month out. I'm just kind of curious what guys have come up with. Some guys on here probably already have an org board, so they have an organizing board, so they probably have an advantage, but someone want to put in the chat? I'm just curious. Okay. Billable units, cancellation rate. Okay. Yeah. So in the area of product, you're responsible to make sure the production occurs, right? Good billable units and arrival rates. And is it VPR? I'm not sure what VPR is. Nancy, are you familiar with that? Oh, visits per
No.
referral. I got you. Okay.
What? Oh, visits
Yeah,
per
good. So,
referral. Oh, I like that. I never heard that. Okay, good. Learn
yeah,
something new
good.
every day. See, learning every day.
Yeah, I got it. We visits per new patient. Yeah, we use it per new or per start. Yeah,
And
we're keeping
Melissa said
patients collections
collections and
finance.
yeah, collections and finance, reimbursement and expenses. That seems pretty dialed in. Melissa's a management program person.
Good,
That's
good.
pretty dialed in there,
What about?
Melissa.
Okay, so what's a front desk product? What's a product? We have more than one, but what's a product for front desk staff? We call them patient services reps, but front desk to me is a location, but it's a location of the company as opposed to a post function or an organizational function. But what about a front desk, a measurable product for the front desk? Could be more than one. Copay, collect good. Yeah. So front desk collections or patient pay, scheduling, arrival rate, good. Percent of capacity, I love it. Percent of capacity on advanced schedule. So how well did we do? How efficient were we against what the capacity is? We definitely use an efficiency measure for our front desk as well, right? Can't arrival rate's a part of that, but excellent. Okay, good. What about the clinical staff? What would be a valuable final product for the clinical staff? Because I know we put up there before we had the bill, the units and all that. I hear the pediatric groups use billable hours, but that's not really. That's a measure of what they build for sure. But what about for the patient interaction, the patient experience? What's a descriptive outcome scores photo? Okay, good. What? So you can. That's a basically a patient engagement and completion graduate. Did they get done? Yeah. Did they finish? Good. There it is. Like, did they graduate? Did they complete their full program? Are they satisfied? Do you have a good outcome? And did they complete? That's perfect, right? And I mentioned before in the area of finance, one of the statistics that we used to use, patient satisfaction scores, good. That we used to use, but you ultimately obviously you want a zero balance account. If they completed and you had a great outcome, a measurable outcome where it was valuable for them and for the company, and that they completed and they're fully paid, right? That they have a zero balance account, since we work on this somewhat psychotic retrospective pay system, where people don't pay in advance. It's not even somewhat. It's really kind of crazy. I think it's not like most everything I buy, I pay for before I consume it. Everything I do today, except for everything in my life today, except for my physical therapy clinic, is usually prepaid. So I pay for it before I get it. So thank you,
That's
by
so
the way.
true. That's so true. Like the only thing that you pay in arrears actually is your mortgage. You pay
Yeah,
your
that's
but you
true.
pay
There
rent.
are a couple things like
There's very but so few. You're right. You're right. That's kind of funny. I like it.
yeah. It's just it's a little odd. It's a little weird. And, I'm working on a cash pay system or program when I start another company that I'm going to test. And anyway, it'll definitely be a prepaid system because I want to subvert some of what's happening out there, and I want to test it with some therapists. Another that's a whole other story. Good. So listen, I'm going to show you guys what we've defined. I'm just going to show you. I'm going to pull up an organizing board for Rebound, and all I want you to look at. Do not. I'm going to go through by division really quick. This functional flow through the clinic, and you'll just see the definition of the product. It's not the statistic, it's the product. Okay, but there are statistics that measure these things. So I'm just going to go through them really quickly. And this is only one viewpoint. I'm not saying this is what they should be for you guys, because we have, um, we're doing our thing here, and this isn't isolated to the adult world, but hopefully it'll be helpful for you to see it. You can physically see what I'm managing backwards from. because we have measurables for all these things. So I may not do every division. I'll just do a few, unless we're fine on time. So I think I'm going to be cool on that. But let me share this again, and I'll escape this. And I'll just go through by division. I have a digital org board pulled up here by function. Hopefully this thing's still active. I've been sitting on it. Okay, so this is just the executive division, so don't look at all that stuff. But check out down here. So VFP down here stands for valuable final product. So it's an expanded version of the. It's obviously it's valuable and it's completed, right? And therefore it's a product. It's something that's exchangeable. So my product is to have a viable, expanding company achieving its goals. So the viability is a financial number. So certainly looking at finance and revenue and net revenue and reserves and all that. Is it viable? Just because we're collecting more than we're spending in a given week doesn't mean we have long-term viability. So I have some measurables for that. And then are we expanding? Are we delivering more service to more people, which is always a primary goal. I put that on my delivery guys to do more and more of that. And then are we achieving our goals? So we'll be going over that tomorrow in our meeting and our strategic goals. But that's just one division, right? And then I'm going to go into our HR, our personnel division. And then, so check this out, the product at the bottom, very bottom of the screen here, established, productive, and ethical staff members, meaning established, meaning they're hired and onboarded. They have to be fully trained, right? Because you'll see up here in this first section, it's like we have effective personnel who are posted and hatted, meaning they're actually trained up on how to do their job. Ethical, meaning that they're productive, right? I want to show you guys real quick. Oops, I just screwed myself here. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my slides. Nancy, you can see my slide right now.
I can see the one that's examples. Look at the Rebound organizing board if needed. And guys,
Yeah,
I just want to add that if you look at that, I mean, I'm so impressed with that. Like if you look at that and you're impressed like I am, and then just like when you blew up a division, like just look at a division, like how beautiful it looks, how I mean, this is how you get flow lines. This is CEOs, this is how you get stuff off of your plate. And you don't have to be a big company to start there. And I also know people that
no,
didn't have a position that they wanted. Back in the day, I remember Brittany Winslow wanted an assistant really badly. She was like, wow, that would just make my life. So she made an org board and she made like not a temporary, but she made like a non-permanent um task for she made an org board division for an assistant and wrote out the whole entire hat for it. Hat is it like a old timey word to say job description. And she wrote it
mm,
out. You know what she had like 3 months later? A full blown, fully on board assistant. So you can use it to just create your future, which is amazing. But if you just see this is all, and these are fluid, these aren't fixed. There's ways to get them. This is a digital one. Obviously, it's editable if it's digital, but there's ones that people have on their wall and they're made, and there's people that make org boards and they make them where all that little stuff that says like design and distribution marketing material, like they're made in little magnets that click onto a magnetic org board. Like there's so much you can do. This is like, to me, this is big league stuff. This is like you have your CEO hat is on. And it doesn't have to look like this, but if you can see the depth in this and the comprehensiveness of this is why the management program is very hard. Some of you be like, I'm going to go into the library next week and just get an org board. And no, you're not. You need your handheld to figure out these bits and pieces, and then you should be writing hats that go along with them. Or what comes first? Do you write the hat first and then have an org board, or do you have the org board position and then write the hat? What happens first, Paul?
yeah, I lay out the products on the org board first. This is the base. This is the base of the organization. I write the products up and the functions, and then I get people in post to take on the hats, the various hats. When you're smaller, bear in mind you've got people wearing a lot of different hats, but they need to know when they're wearing what hat, or you really get overwhelmed. And when they become super productive in a given area, then we hire someone to tuck underneath them to help them get that product. In this area, in this division, in this marketing division of our company, while Wendy's over the top of it, she's one of 3 staff in this area. We have a full-time person just in our digital promotion section here, and then someone else helping with following up with our leads that we get. We drive a lot of leads. We get about 150 leads a month off of our direct response, direct access marketing. So we have a lead handler. So we have 3 full-time PR marketing staff. But I was just going to show you this overall product, right? Expanding, but we didn't start there. We started with a 20-hour a week person doing the referral development program, and then we went to full-time. Then we got a marketing person, and now we have 2 PR people and 1 marketing, but 3 total in PR marketing. But check this out: expanding new patient or client volume, because we see wellness clients, we see cash people. That ensures income greater than outgo plus reserves, meaning here's what we're measuring here. We're measuring the value of a start in our company. The value of all our starts every week is a metric that goes with that, because I can assign a financial value to the starts every week. So that's a super valuable product for our company. And then I'll just show you one more. So we have 2 delivery divisions here. We have physical therapy and we have health and performance. That's our cash services. Here's our physical therapy services. So we have 2 technical delivery areas. But at the bottom, it's really simple, right? Highly satisfied patients complete their full plan of care. Did they complete? They're obviously not collecting the funds in this technical delivery area. But are those patients satisfied? Like it stated before, you guys did a great job describing that, the outcomes. Did they complete their full plan of care? And guess what? If I focus on this, how many people were satisfied and got done? Guess what? Visits are going to be there. Evals are going to be there. If that number's rising, I can work on all the sub products of that, which is getting the people to arrive and billing them correctly, and making every visit a great visit and all those things. But it isn't how many visits you do. It isn't how many billable hours you have. It's how many people got done and got great outcomes. If you see people longer, like you do in pediatrics, then you have to have measurables along the way that you're getting outcomes. But anyway, I'll just leave it at that for now. Nancy, just to give examples. And yeah, you're right. It takes a while to organize into that. And by the way, it's called organizing board. It's a verb. It's not a thing you hang on the wall and do once and look at it a year later. Janet and I are continually plugging in people. If you're expanding, you're going to have demand for putting people onto particular functions. I just showed you the products at the bottom, but I have a title org board and I have a functions org board. And so you have to lay out the flows of your organization on an organizing board. It's a verb. But so there's some examples.
It's literally like building a massive structure, like a 2-story house with a pool and a basement and an attic and all that, and not having an architect do a blueprint and just like try to figure it out. Like, I guess this is a good place to plop the kitchen, the plumbing, but then you're like freaked out, like wondering why your plumbing isn't going from the bathroom connected to the laundry room connected to the kitchen. So that's why we're really like big on it. And it's true. I thought it was called an organizational board. And just so you guys know, this goes, but it is an organizing and it is a verb, and he is correct. And it goes all the way back. I don't even know how many hundreds of years, but basically the military is big on organizing boards. So, you can't, I'm not trying to get political here, but whether you like it or not, like the military is pretty organized. Whatever you feel about them, I'll let you feel about them. But I'm just saying here that you can't win battles when you don't have an org board. So it's your private practice is, in a way, it's a business is a battle. It's a game. I like to look at it as a game, but there is a bit of a battle in it, and that you got to get up every day and you got to champion over challenges that are only specific to the craziness of private practice. It is its own animal in business, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's basically reflecting a flow of production or products through your organization, so you can hand off, right? So you can exchange, create value between staff members and obviously with the public you service. but it's a flow of any product or activity, um, through your organization. That that total representation. I mean, you're right, Nancy, that they've been around. The concept of an organizational chart has been around for a long time. And they're not always laid out to organize for production. Sometimes it's just a place for titles and positions. If you really create good workflows, then it's a really valuable thing. But the base of it is made up of products. And that's what often gets missed is just, people get into this. Nancy's heard me say this before, because you want to stay away from this in interviews. I call them the doobie doobie doo interviews. People tell you what posts they've held or what titles they've held and what they've done, but they don't always tell you what they got done. And the who and the do is on a organizational chart, but to me, one of the most important elements is I start with products. I organize backwards from a product. I build an organizing board because I have more than one. I have one for a management company, and technically speaking, I guess you could make one for a family, at home, and you can post people. I know, I have certain hats I wear at home, and it's a different organizing chart than the one at Rebound. But you work backwards from that product, and the base of it, it's like a big battery, right? The base of it is the products, the thing that the bolts you bolt your battery down to. If if you have a combustion driven engine, that's the products. And then you create terminals. You have the two terminals. As long as you got two people, you can get some production, you get some energy going, some flow. And when you put people on a post and you give them a product, you make them stable. You have a stable terminal. If you don't have it bolted down with a product, they're going to be floating all over the dang place. And that's what happens to a lot of staff and people's companies. Are bouncing all over their organizing board and creating chaos instead of production. So anyway, that's a whole nother seminar probably, Nancy, right? But so who makes sure your company gets products, right? So someone has to check I know I still spend a fair amount of time looking at a first look at how much got done through the statistics, but then sometimes you have to stick your nose into it's easy to look at how much of it got done, but you still have to verify, did it get done? And was it done at the correct quality, right? So how much, how good was it? Was it completed, like I said before? And then, and is that at a level of viability? I mean, if someone doesn't see enough people in a day, but they do a great job, it may not be at the appropriate level of viability. Meaning, another term for viability for me is lifeability. Does it have a future? Is there enough there that A, you're going to get paid, and B, that you can continue to grow and create reserves and have enough for a well-paid staff? So it's valuable. It's got to be valuable and exchangeable to your staff too, right? There has to be enough of it. So someone in your company needs to make sure that the products are of the proper quantity, quality, and level of viability, financial viability for the company. So what steps can you take to make sure that production occurs, or that these products are rolling off the line from the various areas? If all you did walking away from this particular webinar, and if you're already working with a consultant, you can work this out, because I've gotten better at it. Trust me, I had a very rudimentary organizing chart in the beginning. And if you really dive into defining these products, but if you really dove in and got everybody currently in your company at least working on one really well-defined, measurable product that met these criteria and that we went through, that it's completed, it's valuable, and it's exchangeable, man, you'd be way ahead of most of a lot of company executives out there. And I'm talking big companies too, right? So if you can really get it well defined, but does every staff member in your company know their product or products? Many times they have more than one. I know, our front desk staff, to use the location, location description of that. But our PSRs, our patient services reps, I mean, obviously they have to, fill the schedule and get people to arrive. So it has to be the people have to be both on the schedule and arrive. And then of course, make those patient payments. So they've got more than one product. Can they name them out? I mean, just because you've defined it in a job description, like Nancy was talking about before, do they know what they are? Can they name them out? very precisely, know exactly what they are and clear them up. Do they want it? You know, it's not only does it exist, they can sit there and parrot back to you what they are, but it's something that they really want. And do they understand the purpose of achieving that product? We do something called well, I won't get into the technical terms of it, but we clear these things up with everybody when they come into the company, that they know exactly what they are. They get this on day one. And we really zero into why it would be important for them to get that product, not just because Paul's got it on a piece of paper, or Janet, or Bert, or Wendy, or just because we look like we're organized. It has to line up with a purpose for us and for them. So they have a personal purpose to get that product. This process, is a form of clearing up with them, not only what it is, but why we do it, and then getting them to want it. And then can they organize their area that they're in so that they can get it, so they can get those products, meaning get those products. And you'll find that this is where hatting comes in. It's so cool that Nancy mentioned the concept of hatting. It's really hard to hat or train somebody up. Training, hatting, really similar terms there. It's really hard to train someone up if they don't know how to get it. So that's what the hat should lay out: is how do I get that product, so that they take their wonderfulness, their special goodness of whoever they are, because you hired them, because you have faith and trust in them, and they have a pathway through that hat to get that product. But you have to define it for them first. You have to name it out and make sure they understand it, and then help them put tools in place. Don't just tell them. Have things written up. Like we can do a whole nother seminar. This particular webinar maybe opens the door to future ones that we can get into. Just some key basics on putting training systems in. That platform I showed you with that organizing board. Also, we also put some training platforms in there. When Nancy talks about a hat, we've got some in there that are pretty killer. They've got video links and all kinds of policy connected to them, and articles to read. And that's where people go in my company to do some training to get their hats on. So I opened up, hopefully I didn't open up Pandora's box there by showing that, but I don't think I did. I think it helps add to just some definition behind what we're talking about on putting the product into productivity. But if you're having problems getting people to produce, I can almost guarantee you they don't understand what a product is, or what their product is, and what the purpose of it is, and or how much of it is really needed in order for the company to be viable, much less how to get it. I mean, we do have the responsibility as owners and executives of teaching folks how to get those products, and that's the hatting that Nancy was talking about. But first, it has to be named, and that's why these things align, right? Putting the product in productivity, you put it on the organizing board, you put it in a job description, you put it in your staff training programs, and you go over it and over it and over it. And the more they understand the value of it to them, to the public, and other people in the company, then you have a team working together. You could walk into any treatment booth, any meeting with a fellow staff member, a staff meeting, a review of a staff member, and as long as you have a really well-defined product for that interaction, not just the overall treatment or plan of care for a patient, but if you really have it dialed in, you can create so many great experiences, every interaction of every day. And this is actually how I view it. I didn't do a lot of coordination with Nancy on this one because we've worked together for so long. I think she kind of trusts me that I'll just put together something that makes sense. But the product is you guys having an increase. My product is an increased awareness from you guys on how to apply some of these tools, and to have a advocate in the private practice network and survival strategies to kick ass. And that's a Paul term there, but to just really be more effective. My product is, the people I work with, is to share knowledge and help create more effective executives or owners, right? And why wouldn't I want to do that? I hate the fact that corporate medicine is trying to take us out and buy us up and da 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 da. Right? It's like, okay, well, wait a minute. There's so many valuable people out there that have you guys have such a worthwhile purpose in what you do with your patients and your staff. And I know that's what drives Nancy. I hear, I don't think I've never seen Nancy talk on one of these webinars, or you see her live at the Paloozas, but that she doesn't talk about the purpose and the excitement she gets out of helping owners help their people in their community. That's
Absolutely.
there's a level of pay there that is so much greater and obviously undervalued by the insurance companies and that, but it's that level of exchange that makes the difference. So it's so funny. I kind of bring it back to this to go, well, that's the why. But you do have to have it, defined so it's measurable. But more importantly for you guys that are executives and owners, the more your staff understands that, the more they hear, not just hear it from you, but see it and experience it, it's easier to get products. It's easier to get the productivity up because you want to clean it up. Clean it up meaning I saw my VP. I was in a meeting, wrapping up a meeting with my VP Ops this morning, Bert. And Nancy knows Bert, and some of you guys on here might know him. He's a great guy. But it was so funny. We were wrapping up this meeting, and this guy walked in. He kind of bombed our meeting. It was a long time patient, and Bert handled it so great. Like he got the guy right to the point, right? Because he got the product of that interaction. He treated him with very high respect and affinity for the guy, and he just got him to state what he needed or wanted. And, Bert is so trained that he can go into an interaction with folks now and get that product in a visit or in a meeting with a staff member. It's something you have to practice the skill at. The more you understand, and really define these things in all areas of your company. You go through it divisionally, you go through it by position, and then you get other people to really wear their hats and understand what they're going for and measure it. They'll really appreciate it. So anyway, I'll get off my bandwagon there, Nancy. That was my non-slide driven talk on this
I
on
love
the
the
phone.
bandwagon. I love the bandwagon. No, Paul is 100% right. I mean, seriously, my joke is that if you asked me 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that I would be waking up every single day, like so excited to help this profession. We do have a big slant on the pediatric sector. And I literally 6 years ago, I did not know what pediatric occupational therapy was. I was like so confused. I was like, occupational therapy for kids? They help them write a resume and they trying to get some 5-year-old a job? Like, what does that even mean? But now I have a pretty comprehensive understanding of what you guys do. But the whole thing, and it's really true. It's like we not only love these professions of yours, whether you serve adult, vestibular, geriatric, pediatric, it's so amazing because it's so not the big pharma, here's a pill for every condition kind of thing. And it's crazy. I go to my regular doc in the box, as I like to call them, and I tell them about things. Have you ever thought about this? And do you know about this? And they look at me like I have 15 heads. And they're like, no, I have a prescription for you. And I'm like, no, thanks. Like I've healed myself twice from like the brink of, I don't even know what. I don't want to say death because that's way too dramatic. But let's put it this way. I found myself twice in this lifetime in bed for 6 months at a time, two totally different things, separated by 2 decades, and nobody could find out what was wrong with me. So, it's really insane. And the fact that you guys are so holistic and you look at the whole person and the whole child is very, 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 very important to me. And so you take that passion that I never knew I was going to have for private practice owners, and you couple it with the fact that anybody who knows me knows I am a fighter. I am the quintessential Christina Aguilera song. I am a fighter. And I like to fight for the underdog. And I think there's a lot of suppression and oppression coming at you on a daily basis with current things, reimbursement drops. Like Texas right now is in the whole freak out about the diminishing reimbursements. And that's all we really hear about out there. It's diminishing reimbursements and hiring and retention. Okay, hiring and retention, to me, I don't want to say is a no-brainer, but let's put it this way, it's easier to be at cause over the hiring and retention. There's things you do, there's things you don't do, there's things you better do, there's things you don't know to do, and then not knowing to do them puts you at being the bug, not the windshield. The reimbursement thing is a different game, because you start off thinking, wow, I'm just going to collect these insurance things and I'm going to pay this gal this, I'm going to pay, Susie the PT this, and I'm going to get this reimbursement for that. And then someone takes the world and just shakes it up like it's the game of life and just throws the board and throws all the pieces around. And suddenly, with inflation and people wanting 100,000 when they get out of school as a new grad, that's a whole other thing. So I am all about, and Paul will back me because Paul's the same one. This is why we like to get together and chat. And that's why he's like, yeah, I'll do the juice, even though there's like nothing in it for him except paying it forward and helping people literally, is the common denominator of we want people to champion. We want people to win in life. That's literally a common denominator thing that Paul and I, and most of the people that I associate myself with and Paul associates himself with, we are hell bent on good people surviving. I mean, we don't want to have people that aren't good thriving and flourishing, but we know it's hard out there. And I'll tell you something, this is kind of like, we didn't plan on this topic, but I'll just go there. I am talking to a lot of owners, and I find that, and just put a hand up or say yes, amen in the chat if this is true. I am finding out that people, it's almost like a case study in humanity, in the human condition and behavior. 2020, 2021, and 2022 were all like just fight or flight. Like, what do I do? How do I do telehealth? How do I keep my people? How do I stay open? Oh my gosh, some people surged. They didn't have that problem. They were like, oh my gosh, I got 38 new staff. How do I service all these kids? Whatever it was. But 2023, people have told me it is the hardest year they have had. And I think it's because everything calmed down. It's like that adrenaline, like you lift the car up off the kid, and then after you're like, oh my gosh, and you like almost collapse with the expenditure of that. I think there's a lot of owners that 2023 was that year and they're still in it. And that is what I have my attention on, helping you guys get through by keeping you engaged. And when we say, come to a lemonade, come to a juice, come to a conference, it's to get stable datums that you can apply, because where I live, action is the antidote to everything. There's a whole reason why that is, but at 22 years old, when I was an actress and I was petrified because I'd been doing stand-up comedy for 6 months and I got on the Apollo. If any of you know the Apollo, it's a very rough room in Harlem with 2,000 like people that are just dying to taste blood, and then that's the game, is to like boo you off stage, right? And I'm going to do that. I have no experience, 6 months a stand-up comic, and my whole acting class was like, aren't you afraid? I was terrified. And I said, yeah, I'm terrified. And they said, what are you going to do? And I said, action. Action is the antidote to fear. And then I come to find out there's actually some actual data on this, and action is actually antidote to any less than optimal emotional tone level you want to be in. It's like when the cat takes the kitten by the scruff of the neck and just makes that, takes that kitten across the linoleum floor. That's what action does. So I am always imploring you to get in action. So when you're here for an hour with us, it's action, and we appreciate you. But that's why we're always directing you to something. Talk to this person, talk to that person, do the management program. Guys, it's not to sell you stuff. Yes, there are sales involved, because unfortunately we're not a 501c. We're not a nonprofit. But if it's not right for you, we don't sell it. And we never sell to sell you something. It's to give you, you call it sell, and people are like, you're going to sell me something. That's a sale. That's a dirty 4-letter word. My 4-letter word is help. And that's all that we care about, whether it's free, a book, a expensive, robust program. I don't care. I want you taking the next step. I know some of you are very generously still on here. I don't even know what the heck time it is. Oh my gosh, it's 1:02. We really absolutely adore you for being here. If you are adult, please consider coming to our PEDS events. I'm telling you, they are absolutely admin know-how. And it's this stuff, but blown up. It's not an hour, it's 2 days, it's 3 days. So please come to that. And then if you are like, I need one-on-one, I want this org board, I want it catered and designed around my practice. I mean, people think they're going to open up the book and they're going to get on this juice when it comes in the email and they're going to look at Paul's and no, you might, some of you are real DIYers. God bless you. But most of you are like discipline of application is a little bit like another story. So we just want to help you whatever way we can. Paul always makes himself available. He'll tell you the real deal. I hope you feel like I tell you the real deal because I have nothing. I could be selling houses in California that, you know, the average commission is 20,000 on a shack, a 2-bedroom shack is $1 million, and that's a $20,000 commission. There's a lot more money in real estate than there is in private practice for me, but it has no joy for me whatsoever. There's a good agent on every corner, also a slimy agent on every corner in LA. So I let them do that. And I let you guys figure out, you know, in LA, which ones are the good agents and which ones are the bad ones. But I could care less about real estate. Who cares if you buy a fancy house with a huge mortgage that you can barely afford to keep up with the Joneses? I care that you go out there and help more patients and feel really good about yourself. And at the end of your 30 years, you've got a nice life like Paul, where he lives in Tennessee, is hands-on with his grandkids, does all that, is blowing up some other things out there, and then runs this amazing practice where he's just put so many, you'll hear me say this, one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. And when people stop and they do like one program with survival, I'm like, why? And they're like, I'm implementing. I'm like, get on the next program, one foot in front of the other. People do the next thing in front of you. This stuff is coming into your universe for a reason. So I don't think there's accidents. I don't believe in accidents. That's a good note to end on. Paul, why are we looking at? Oh, wait, was that my news or your news? Who the heck knows? Anyway, I hate the news. I don't watch it. You still find out all the stuff you need to know by not watching the news. It's hilarious. Anywho, there, guys, I'm so grateful you're here. Paul, thank you again for another CEO hat amazingness. And you guys out there that joined us for this hour and the other hour on the lemonade. We love you. Thank you so much. And don't forget the poll. If the poll is still up, we use that to build the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So there's that. And don't forget the deep dive stat analysis. That is complimentary. It will blow your mind if you're if you've never been on the phone with us. Okay. Paul, you got anything to say? You wrapping it up?
We're good. We're good. I'm good. I'm happy with where we ended. So
Me too. Me too. We didn't think we'd go all this philosophical and whatnot, but I love it. Anyway, I love you guys. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next month on The Juice Nutrition for Your Practice.